You ask the questions and I will answer for the next extended period of time. There is quite literally a lot to talk about on Impact, AEW, NXT, and of course the big breaking Ring of Honor news. But first off, I'm going to play the intro. Please like, share, and subscribe, and feel free to get involved. This will be a shorter show, about 45 minutes at the most, but questions are already coming in. But just before we start, we'll go on with the breaking news that's broken in the last hour via. You can bring it up for you on the screen right about now. And it says, throughout the pandemic, our top priority was to keep everyone healthy and safe. And despite not producing any live events over 18 months, we were able to at a time where we need to make changes to our business operations and are planning a pivot for Ring of Honor with a new mission and strategy. This year will culminate at Final Battle in December and will be taking the first quarter of 2022 to work internally to reimagine Ring of Honor. Ring of Honor is the most dedicated fans in the industry, and we as we reconceptualize Ring of Honor. We anticipate returning to live events in April for the Supercard of Honor with a new fan-focused product and provide a unique experience. That is the big breaking news for you there. And I've got to say, quite sad really to hear that all the talents are going to be released from their contracts. It's a hell of a company, Ring of Honor. I must admit, I've been following it for years, on and off in different places, but been following it really a lot more. Trying to watch Ring of Honor weekly, and you've got such a talented roster pool as well. It's a shame to see that a lot of them, obviously are now going to be out of contract, going to companies as well. And WrestleVotes did go on to quickly to tweet as well that they've got some friends in Ring of Honor, so it'd be risky not to wish them the best of luck. Sure that roster will catch on elsewhere very quickly if Ring of Honor returns with more indie strategy, booking talent per event. They may just be fine in the end. And I must say that last little bit I have to agree with way going forward. But a lot of talents we said there, it says in that original tweet there from Ring of Honor, a lot of talents were happy to re-sign with the company. They were treated so well during the pandemic, despite. So I really do hope that some of them will stick around and wait and perhaps go with whatever the new strategy is with Ring of Honor. But of course, the likes of AEW, Impact Wrestling, NWA probably will be taking up talents, and probably WWE will be sniffing around as well. You've got the likes of Rouge, Dragon Lee, we've got the Lethal. We've got talents like Bandido. What about Roxy as well, the women's champion? There's a hell of a talent pool in amongst Ring of Honor. So I'm very sad to see that this news has happened with the pandemic, of course. And even if it's not hit everyone immediately, it can affect further down the line, which is a real shame to see. But I hope Ring of Honor can regroup. I hope they can come back. And let's hope that this is just this is a pause for the company, because they've done some really good things, produced some great talent in amongst the industry as well. Mentioned Joe, Christopher Daniels, people like that, really giving them sort of exposure to go to that next level. CM Punk being another one. So without Ring of Honor, some of these talents may. So let's hope that this isn't the end. And when you've got talents like the Briscoes who've been there, it really is sad to see, and I hope talents like them, for example, Jay Lethal, I wouldn't be surprised if talents like them were to wait around and do maybe a pay-by-you-go basis. Maybe they will give something back. But the chat is lighting up already, so let's go to some of the things. So Jamie Holmes is kicking us over, says, with the mass releases, where do you think Dan Housen would fit best? I think he fits in with AEW's. His character works best with crowds and possibly segments with CM Punk, Pepsi Man. Do you know what? I think Dan Housen is a heck of a talent, isn't he? He's just been on a Jericho cruise as well, if I'm not mistaken. I think AEW probably is the right place for him to go. I do think he'd fit in quite well with Impact as well. But like you say, I think AEW would be the one. You see with the likes of like an Orange Cassidy, how those sort of characters friends with Ethan Page as well. So I could see him going to All Elite Wrestling. I wouldn't be surprised then. Like you said there, working with the crowds there, and there's such an array of talent that he could work with as well that could be fun to see and understand with this character. I mentioned Orange Cassidy, but you got lots of Luchasaurus, Marco Stunt, in and amongst that company. So it will be interesting what will happen. Like I say, a lot of those talents will be very, very popular to end up. But lots of comments saying come flying in. Randy Sam here saying Bray is coming back to WWE. Nick and now Braun asking to come ask WWE to come back, but since he was going to Ring of Honor too. Going to Ring of Honor too. I thought perhaps he would have been going to potentially to Impact. I was surprised he wasn't there at the Impact Bound for Glory tapings, but be interesting if they do come back. I'm still thinking they will be elsewhere. Wrong on it, Randy, and yeah, feel free to keep those questions coming in. Dave Melt says, I like that username. It's quite fun. Yes, all the wrestlers to Ring of Honor to join AEW. Well, they've got a big roster already. Can you imagine the whole Ring of Honor roster joining AEW? I think that might be a bit much, but fun to see as well. And I mean, the way that we go back to Revolution, I mentioned Orange Cassidy is this kind of example plate already, but when he was actually against Pac, I believe, at Revolution about it just really put Orange Cassidy on the map at that point from being a comedy character that could also do other things. So perhaps that would be the sort of thing that Dan Housen could do to really break out in amongst All Elite Wrestling if that was to happen. But I mean, I mentioned there's the likes of Shane Taylor as well to mention we shouldn't forget also. I could see a number of those talents perhaps going to Impact as well. Impact now, which I see a comments come flying in actually, which I'm going to bring up in a second there, with the working relationship now no longer with All Elite Impact Wrestling fills out their roster. I'm going to just go and find that question there now. Hold on, Jamie. Which promotion do you say has benefited most from that AEW relationship out of Impact or New Japan? I'll come to the answer to that question in a minute. I'll just quickly go on what I was finishing with Impact first, because they need to fill that roster out. Quite simple. Impact for me, they've been relying on too many other companies for far too long. And even though it does make exciting television, exciting shows, I do finally see Moose now as the top guy once again. Josh Alexander was well played out the way they did that, by the way. I really, really enjoyed it. But at the same time, I look at it and I say to myself, Impact needs to make Impact number one again. But going to it here, I would say New Japan has probably benefited more than Impact. Now, you could argue with me and say that Impact has had the exposure of their tag team champion changed on the first episode of Rampage. Of course, Christian Cage beating Kenny Omega on that show. Impact talent that beat Kenny Omega. I think it was damaging for Impact at that time that it was another guy from AEW. And yes, an AEW guy then dropped the championship to... No disrespects to Christian Cage when I say this, but there is a different level right now with Kenny Omega. He's one of the best, if not the best, in the world. And I just think it would have done Impact so much more of a benefit if perhaps they were the ones to actually beat Kenny Omega for it. But New Japan, I mean, they've got the likes of Mahiro Suzuki. We've had the IWGP United States Heavyweight Championship. Kenta's made an appearance as well. We're waiting for Tanahashi as well at some point. And I feel that relationship is not quite finished yet. But it's interesting to see how it will be. And I'd like to know your thoughts. Which company do you think has benefited more? Do you think it's been Impact or New Japan Pro Wrestling? I think there is good arguments for both. But for me, I'm going to say New Japan at this particular stage. Supersonic X saying this is discouraging. Yes, it's really sad news with Ring of Honor, but hopefully people will find themselves back on their feet. PCO versus Dustin Rhodes in AEW. Yeah, two legends, two veterans. Hey, do you know, I would be up for seeing it. PCO, he's not human, damn it. And do you know, he can still go. And Dustin proved this weekend on Dynamite. And I mean, should we ever doubt Dustin Rhodes at this point? I mean, of course, he had arguably still one of the best matches, in history in AEW with Cody at that first ever Double or Nothing. I still go back and watch that in awe when I see the match. It was a perfectly told story. But Jonathan Burgill saying, I'm hearing Tony Khan thinking about not signing Ring of Honor before he turns Ring of Honor mixed with WCW. But I hope Tony Khan wouldn't at this point. I mean, I still believe that Ring of Honor has its place in the industry. And I do feel that if another wrestling company was to buy it, I don't think we'd get the same Ring of Honor. I just don't think it'd be the same anymore. It would be, like you say, you would bring the talent, maybe get the video library, stuff like that. It would probably do AEW a favor, I suppose, if they wanted to start a streaming service. I mean, they've now got a good couple of years of pay-per-view material they could give out, over 100 episodes of Dynamite as well. So they would have that to then say, well, hang on, we could start our own streaming service. We've got classic content from Ring of Honor as well. But at the same time, I hope Ring of Honor, when they redo the strategy, they come back stronger than ever. And like I say, even if it's a pay talent per appearance, that would be a good way, and it would get people to start off again. We'd probably build and establish some fresh faces that we're not accustomed with, and maybe we'll have a few established ones waiting around. That would be really cool to see. Pact Entertainment, I would like to see Angelina Love, Marie Kanellis, and Mike Bennett back in Impact. Do you know what, as would I? I'd be quite happy with that. But I mean, we go talking now a little bit of a sour story here with Ring of Honor this evening. But of course, Marie Kanellis put all that effort into that women's tournament over the summer. I hope that that's not gone to waste. And I do hope that a lot of those female talents will be still able to appear for the new version of Ring of Honor, including were to leave Impact. Hey, they've been very familiar with there before. I would be quite happy to see other option. Supersonic says, will Angela return to Impact Wrestling? Time will tell on that one. I couldn't tell you at this particular. Of course, we've still got Final Battle, which will be taking place in December. So no one's going anywhere just yet. They're going to be sticking around for till the end of the year. And then we'll probably have a good idea from the start of 2022 where talents may turn up. Hey, maybe someone might turn up in the Royal Rumble. Maybe someone might turn up on NXT 2.0. Or, like you say, a talent like Angelina Love could return to Impact Wrestling, someone that's familiar ground for her in the past. Travis says Dan Hoosen joins Steen and Darby Allin. I like that idea. He could be Sting's son. I wouldn't mind that storyline. Hey, do you know what? Everyone seems to be going with Darby. Why not have like the Sting family at this point? It's a fun idea. I don't see it playing out personally, but Dan Hoosen to AEW is something I definitely could see. That's something I definitely could see happen. First drink break of the stream. It's thirsty work already. Eli Wax is with us now, and Maria Canales is on the phone calling Vince, telling him sorry. So when we see her turn her Twitter off, for me, I don't see that personally. I think that I don't see her going back to WWE in any way. And like I said a couple of minutes ago, I do feel sorry for that effort that's been put into the women's tournament. Business. I mean, that would be quite fun. I wouldn't be against the idea of it at all. Kenny King is a well-established talent. I don't see him going back to Impact Wrestling. Perhaps NWA would be somewhere I could potentially see him going. But being part of her business, yeah, why not? He has been part of, was it the Beatdown Claim when it was MVP and Lashley? So I can see the thought process of maybe where you're going with that. So yeah, I like that. SCW, or should I say SC Williams, is hoping Mascara don't show up to AEW tonight since he was in. Well, he's been released from Ring of Honor for a while now, so I don't see that happening anytime soon. I wouldn't worry about that one. At this point, I would be surprised to see if we ever see Mascara on any, should we say, televised wrestling company again. Martin Carrillo says, hope you're doing well. Yeah, I'm doing very well, thank you. He says, I'd like to ask, with the new roster now in effect on the main roster, which show did you enjoy more? Very fun question, this one. Of course, Raw and SmackDown this past week. I've got to be honest, I enjoyed both shows. I'm going to be very honest with that. I felt a little bit the Raw was a little bit kind of like watching SmackDown. If I'm going to be honest, a lot of the feuds that were on SmackDown have just been transferred to Raw. But I enjoyed SmackDown before, so that wasn't a bad thing. SmackDown, though, on the other hand, had the big storyline for that almost the first 45 minutes, writing Brock Lesnar off of TV. I thought that was really well done as well. So it's hard to answer. I think I will lean on Raw at this point because we know Brock's not going to be around. I think SmackDown hasn't had a fair go as of yet. I think we need to see SmackDown this week to see where it's going to go fully. But maybe Raw just pips it at this particular point because I do feel I was really disheartened about watching Raw up until the last few weeks, and SmackDown have been consistently good. So I guess I was more pleasantly surprised that Raw was a more than half decent show this week. Ricky Glow is in the house with us now, and he says, can we see Brody Lee be part of a stable with Malachi Black, House of Black? I like the idea. I really do. And Brody I say Brody Lee there, apologies. Brody King, I should be saying. And of course, Brody's always in the thoughts, and definitely was conversation I had about Brody Lee early on today. We miss him so much, but Brody King being a part of the stable, I definitely could see that happening. He's a top talent, of course, for Ring of Honor. It's one I hadn't mentioned before. Now, definitely would fit with the ideology. I think what would be the House of Black as well, with his sort of gimmick and the way he is in ring. He's got a very sort of no nonsense style as well, willing to put his body on the line. Definitely would see him as a potential signing that AEW would be interested in getting. I think he'd be definitely a target as well for Impact Wrestling. I wouldn't lie if I had to put a prediction out there, but we'll have to wait and see what will go down. But we'll go on here as well with Pact Entertainment saying EC3 would be great back home in Impact. He certainly would. He was doing quite good stuff in Ring of Honor. I've enjoyed his stuff that he's done as well with this sort of control the narrative and that. So if he was to come back to Impact, I wouldn't be surprised, and he would fit quite well into what we need with this Impact establishing talent towards the main event scene. Level tier out. They've got a great talent, Impact Wrestling. Like I said, Moose is back on top there. Josh Alexander, W. Morrissey, Rich Swann, Eddie Edwards, Sammy Callahan. Like, they've got the talent, but a lot of them have been floundering around the mid card. It's time to get them now past the upper and get them into the top end of the top end of the bracket. Ace Austin as well was another one that could be out there also. So EC3, this would be a heck of a roster if you could push them all towards the top. So yeah, I'm not against that idea at all. Martin asks, which tag team from AEW do you see to have potential to separate main eventer great single stars? Great question. That's going to take some thought, isn't it? I think the obvious and quick answer to give this would be the Lucha Bros, just because I do really see both of them having the star potential as well as single stars as well as tag team. Rey Fenix for me reminds me of is the closest we've ever had to a modern Rey Mysterio in this modern day, and I think he could be pushed just like that. Penta could be a badass babyface or even a badass heel and could get over. Tony Khan just needs to push them like that. So do it for the tag team for now, but definitely at some point, I do think they have that potential to be main eventers in All Elite Wrestling. But yeah, like I say, it's all that belief from TK. Danny Barron is in the house first. Thank you for your question. This is interesting. Angelina Jo love to join Impact Wrestling. Then she'll make a new beautiful people with the inspiration or maybe even the influence could be an idea as well. Because, of course, she does have history with Madison Rayne, of course, as a part of that also. So, yeah, there's definitely some ideas in amongst that. I don't know what's the story of Velvet Sky these days. Is she still in ring competing or not? Because, I mean, that's another tag team you could have there in amongst the Knockouts tag team division. That could be an idea that could go forward. And, yeah, that would make some good storytelling amongst it. So there is definitely going to be some talent that I'm sure Impact will look to get hold of in amongst what's going on with everything here. What is your honest opinion about Adam Cole's AEW run so far? Exceeded expectations? For me, so far with Adam Cole, I think it's been steady and it's been nice. I've not sort of expected too much from Adam Cole so far, and I don't think that every match he's had, he's almost been with the song itself. He's like the most over heel in the company, the way that everyone sings along with his entrance theme. But in ring, he's had some great matches. I particularly enjoyed the match with Jungle Boy. That was a particular highlight for me. I think that it's still a bit early to say if it's going to be a real success or not. But what I would say is that in the long run, he kind of reminds me of when Bret Hart was a part of the NWO. It kind of has that vibe. He's sort of in that, they're always going to be in that second tier behind Kenny Omega until he decides to break away and become a top single star and feud with the Elite, which is something I think we could see happen in about a year to 18 months from now. It's not something that happens in the near future, but I think Adam Cole is going to be just fine in AEW, and I think so far it's been great, or it's definitely been good, if not been great. I could see him as well being one of the first ever trios champions with the Super Click, if that actually ever happens at this point. We're waiting so long for these championships to come involved, but yeah, I've got positive things to say about Adam Cole so far. I think he's been doing pretty well in AEW. Danny asking, how do you feel about Damien Priest going full evil and full human and possibly feuding with Edge? That could help elevate Damien. Do you know, it certainly would. That would be a great feud for Damien Priest to have on Raw. It was a bit strange what happened this week. Actually, I do feel to myself that is he going to turn heel at some point? I'm not so sure, but I mean, T-Bar, he's not really a babyface, is he, by any stretch of the imagination? But hey, they've tweaked the music, they've tweaked the character a little bit. He's got a bit of edge about him, hasn't he? Pun intended there a little bit with that comment. But let's see what happens with Damien Priest. I think the sky is definitely the limit with him, and I'm interested to see where this character direction is going to go. Full evil as well. I mean, could it be like Punishment Martinez back in Ring of Honor days? Another Ring of Honor reference, but yeah, very interesting stuff. I look forward to seeing where it's going to go. It's a bit too early for me to give a prediction at this stage. Marta Correa says, what will be Swerve Scott's first feud on SmackDown? Maybe Ricochet or maybe Sheamus. It seems to go with a babyface thing at the moment, so I'd say Sheamus is probably more likely of those two. I would have been surprised with someone like Mustafa Ali, to be honest, if I had to pick someone as a singles feud, although we did see Swerve in a tag team match this past week with Top Dollar, which I think is not a bad move as well, to have them in the tag team division. This is where Hit Row literally can fit in wherever WWE need them on SmackDown, use the characters they've got on them, they can get over so organically and get over so well. So, I mean, even the tag team division perhaps wouldn't be a bad place, and it would help someone like a Top Dollar who's perhaps still a bit green at the moment. He's got the character down, no problem. But yeah, when it comes to actually looking and saying, right, okay, could Top Dollar do some singles matches on his own? Not sure how well that would go if it was like 10, 15, 20-minute matches. So tag team division is definitely one direction I'd go. But if I go single star, I'll go Mr. Next question coming in from Curtis Jones. Did you hear the rumors of Volta heading to SmackDown for the UK? Give me Sheamus versus Volta. I don't mind. Or Volta versus Drew. But what if this week Sammy cuts a promo and his music hits? Well, I tell you what, if his music hits, I will be jumping out of my seat. That's one thing is for sure. Maybe the glasses come flying off. Who knows? But yeah, I would be down for that if it was to happen. At this point, I'm not sure it's going to happen. But yeah, I don't live in hope, especially when Imperium won those tag team titles on NXT 2.0 Halloween Havoc. I would say Volta would probably be on that show at this point if they were to, because otherwise they've got to drop those tag team championships very, very quickly. But as single matches, Sheamus or Drew, I mean, they would be both incredible programs. So yeah, give me that. I'd be quite happy to see it. We've got DWE here. Says, thank you for checking out the stream, Dan. Hope you're doing well. He says, if not The Rock or Drew, who should face Roman at Mania? Rather who I'm predicting will be Goldberg. That's who I think it will be. Now, it's not something I want, but I think it's something that will happen. But if I had to pick a different opponent, I would say whoever wins the Royal Rumble Priest would be perfect to face Roman Reigns, because yes, you would say it's not the most big time main event you could make happen for a WrestleMania, but God, would you get, Damian Priest over so much more if he was to win the Rumble and then choose to face Roman Reigns. And just be fair, Bad Bunny comes back for WrestleMania, because in that way you've got that celebrity, with Damian Priest. Even if he doesn't win the big one, I think he would benefit even more from it. So that would be my choice. Maybe Keith Lee could be another one, but someone on the SmackDown roster right now, it's hard to pick, isn't it? They've got a lot of up-and-coming talent, so I'm not sure who else I would pick just about yet. Elijah's with us in the stream. Thank you, Elijah, for checking this out. It says, pick 5 people. You picked to face Roman Reigns on SmackDown. In your opinion, how you feel about Daniel Bryan saying that he will go to take it slow with AEW soon and be a dad? I feel like I've missed some of the news this week. I've not seen that either. But if that's the case with Bryan Danielson, look, I'm down for that. He doesn't have to wrestle every single week for me. I think that he becomes more of an attraction the less he wrestles. Of course, it may affect those weekly ratings, but definitely would make those pay-per-views feel a lot more special. So I've got no problem with that if that's the way that Bryan Danielson wants to go down. And of course, he is coming to a latter part of his career. So even though he's probably not going to be taking it safe in ring, I do feel that it is okay to do a few matches here and then and have a break. But 5 people to face Roman on SmackDown. Goodness. Well, King Xavier will be the first shout, because you want a King of the Ring. Surely he should get a chance at the championship. Shinsuke Nakamura could be another one that's doing very, very well. I wouldn't be surprised if he drops the IC title soon to Happy Corbin. Yeah, I know, probably not a fan of that idea either, but still something I could see happening. And as well as that, let's see, 3 other names. Kofi Mania. Why not try and get him back up there? Maybe Kofi would be a shout to go against Roman as a backup option for Mania. Who knows? But Drew McIntyre's an obvious one that you could throw in there. And Sheamus as well, because why not? Sheamus is the Celtic Warrior doing some of the best work of his career. He's had a fantastic 2021, and I'd like to see him go for the championship at some point on SmackDown. Also, package him, absolutely 100% agree. I just can't argue with that. I have got nothing more to add to that. Do it, WWE. Dan Rick is with us. It says, since WWE is going to change or repackage people, do you think that Ricochet maybe gets repackaged on Friday or turns heel? Who do you think needs repackaging? I think Sheamus needs to go face and bring back his old theme. There you go. For me personally, look at that. I mean, WWE likes to mix it up, don't they? Like to feel when they think something needs changing, they're not mucking around doing it. Sometimes that's not a bad thing. I feel sometimes over the years, WWE has spent too long letting things become stale. So if they think that they need to change something up, I'm not totally against the idea. Of course, if something goes wrong, give it a few months, you change it back again. It's not a problem. But for me, I mean, Ricochet, I would love to see Ricochet as a heel, to be honest. But I do think now that he's on SmackDown, when he gets TV time, and I think we have have to judge SmackDown a bit more fairly on this week rather than last week. Last week, Brock Lesnar took over about 45 minutes of that show of writing off TV. So for me, I would say that this week, if someone like Ricochet can get on TV, that would be fantastic. And because he's like a human highlight reel, I think he has a chance now to actually stand out a bit more on SmackDown than what he did on Raw. There was too many superstars that did the same thing on Raw, and I think that personally, that probably hindered him. So hopefully now it would do more of a service for Ricochet on SmackDown, now knowing that actually he's kind of that sort of standout talent that can do the sort of things he does in the ring. The man with 3 H's, loving the username. Greetings. Your general opinion of NXT 2.0 so far. Look what they did to my boy. To be honest, if you're looking for me to rant, I'm very sorry. I'm not going to. What I'm going to say though is, I did love the old NXT the way it was. It didn't need to change. If they wanted to do this, they could have done NXT Evolve, and that's something I still stick by in a way. But at the same time, I feel NXT, what it was meant to represent, this is now what we've got as NXT, is what we're supposed to represent. When it started becoming all the indie talents and people coming like Finn Balor, Kevin Owens, and all talents like that, it kind of lost its identity a little bit, NXT. So this is why they want the homegrown vibe going on. So with that, so far, I think it's been all right. I do think there has been some bits that are probably skippable, that you don't need to watch every week. Number of squash matches that you think, well, it's not really doing anything too much when there's so many of them on the show. But overall, there's a lot of new talents. There's a lot of new characters. I'm not against what I'm seeing so far. I am okay with it. And I do think that Halloween Havoc was a fairly good show overall. I do think the ladder match was a bit shaky. I thought it was a bit too soon to put so many green talents in that style of match. And I do think that particularly Io Shirai bump was looking pretty scary. Thankfully, I believe she's okay. She posted something on social media saying that she was fine. So I'm pleased to hear that. But elsewhere on the show, I was surprised with Mandy Rose winning the NXT Women's Championship from Raquel Gonzalez. But I guess if the way they Dakota Kai, which I predicted as well, would be the person that's kind of repackaged themselves. Be interesting if she's changed the name, if she's changed the dynamic, or she's just Dakota Kai that's come back with a shovel and decides to hit Raquel in the back and go for it one more time. Part of me did wonder if this was going to write Raquel to Raw or SmackDown in the near future, perhaps Royal Rumble season, but we'll have to wait and see. The Tag Team Championships, MSK and Imperium, I thought it was an amazing match what they did last night. Really, really enjoyed that. And Tommaso Ciampa and Braun Breaker, not what I predicted, but at the same time, as I was watching it play out, I kind of felt that I wanted Braun Breaker to win it, because doesn't it represent what NXT 2.0 is meant to be all about, this change of the guard and stuff? And the fact now that since I did the predictions, we're learning there's not going to be as many takeovers for the time being. That really upsets me, by the way. That's not going to be started on that one. I do sit there and think, well, it's probably these TV shows where we're probably going to benefit most of having these big matches at the moment. So we'll have to see how it's going to play out. Not perfect, but what I'd say is that I am enjoying it overall, but definitely be interested in your thoughts in the comments. Do you think we're going to see a heel turn coming with Moxley, or is he just being Moxley? I love this question, Alex. I did suggest the idea that it could happen on the latest Ask SCW episode if they want him to win and defeat Bryan Danielson if they are in the final of the World Title Eliminator Tournament, and that definitely then makes sense if Bryan Danielson was going to take some time off, as suggested in an earlier question. I would be fine with it, because a heel Moxley against Hangman Adam Page, I think would be pretty cool to see. I wouldn't be against that idea at all. But I do feel Moxley has definitely been a lot more grumpy recently. He could be just being Moxley. But at the same time, I do think we are possibly going towards a heel turn. I wouldn't be surprised if it happens, put it that way. Another suggestion here from Jeff Hardy, potentially to take on Roman Reigns. Depends with this gimmick change. If it's going to be Willow, not for me. But what I will say is that if it's Jeff Hardy, it's Jeff Hardy. Yeah, why not? He could be one that can face Roman Reigns. And he's an established name. So, yeah, at the moment, SmackDown have a lot of stars that are kind of, have got time to develop and get themselves to that main event position to take on Roman Reigns. So you need to use those established stars wisely. So for me, Jeff Hardy would be someone to use wisely at this point. Joe Dawn, thank you for your question, Joe. He says, agreed. I enjoyed Raw. We had the ladder match. Yeah, that was an awesome ladder match as well. No, AJ Enormous versus RK Bro. Again, yeah, that was a good thing, but I don't know where he was. I tried to look this up and couldn't find it. If you do, let me know in the comments. I'll bring it up on the screen as well and give you a shout out. The Triple Threat Tag Team match was decent as well. I would agree with that. And AJ Styles and Almost Street Profits feud Yeah, that's fresh as well. I said we got a lot of rematches on Raw, but you know what? That is fresh, and that's a program I quite like to see. The promo time and the build of Austin Theory and Dom. Yeah, I mean, the thing is, some people don't like the selfie stuff with Austin Theory, but I must admit, I quite enjoy it. I think if I had a gimmick in WWE, that's definitely what I do. By the way, no, to be honest, Austin Theory, I think he's been absolutely tremendous so far on the main roster on Raw on this second run. I can see a bright future for him, and I like the way they did that with Dominic Mysterio. And yeah, I have to agree with all the comments that have been said there. I think that definitely was pretty decent. Yeah, of course, they did face the J Dogs for those tag team belts. You are right indeed there. And yeah, it was a fresh match to see, wasn't it? Which was pretty decent. Alex goes on to say that what I would do on Monday is have Keith Lee join the Hurt Business by Shelton controlling him too much. That Keith gets angry and Lashley comes out. And for the woman, I have Bianca be the new champion and a heel Hoska comes out, in my opinion. Fantasy booking suggestions? Well, of course, it will probably get Shelton versus Keith Lee on Raw this week. I mean, it could be a case of like, well, if Lashley's away, you know, why not? If Keith Lee is sending that direction, but I think this is probably going to lead to Keith Lee versus Lashley when Lashley comes back. I think that's probably a more likely destination. But Raw Women's Champion and Raw next week? That's a very good question you've pointed out there, because obviously that would change up Survivor Series dramatically, especially with all the Becky and Charlotte drama. Had to be dropped in there somewhere in this stream, didn't it? You know, if that's going to perhaps be dropped, or someone's going to drop a championship, there's quite a few possibilities of champions that could change hands, which could change matchups. And of course, WWE is no stranger to doing so. And I'm not sure with Asuka's current situation, if she's fully healed or not yet, but when she does come back, certainly I would be in favor of a heel Asuka. That's my personal opinion. Martin asked, what was your reaction when Toxic Attraction won all the NXT Women's Gold? Good or bad for the NXT Women's division? Surprised is the first one I said. I did expect the tag team titles to go, and I think that was definitely the right decision, because they feel like the most established next tag team to do so. I think that Io and Zoe had gone the level that they should have gone. I think it was time for them now to perhaps go in a singles program against each other. Maybe that could release Zoe to get a big win over Io Shirai, put her towards the championship picture, and Io Shirai then can be, you know, freed up if you want to go to Raw or SmackDown, depending on where she's needed. As for the Women's Championship, well, I mean, the thing is, I'm not against another Raquel and Dakota match, because it's a great feud and it was a great match last time. But I was surprised. If you'd have asked me if Mandy Rose was going to be the one to dethrone Raquel Gonzalez, even last week, or even when watching, I would have said no. But I guess if you weren't going to put the title on Mandy Rose, then when was it going to be done? It probably would have been a thing that would say it's never going to happen. So this is a real big opportunity for Mandy Rose, a chance to shine. I'm really intrigued to see where it's going to go for her now as Women's Champion. Was this supposed to be Frankie Monet's spot as well? That's another interesting idea, because of course that match was a throwaway in the end, and of course Frankie Monet lost. So it's interesting. So far at this point, I'm going to say good. We'll have to see what it's going to lead to going forward. But Toxic Attraction have definitely been one of the main points of NXT 2.0 so far. But one of the things I've probably enjoyed most as well, if I'm being brutally honest. So yeah, I at the moment, I'm going to say that I think it would be a good thing. Tom Collier is in the chat. Thank you for joining us. Tom, might be doing very well. Would you give the King and Queen of the Ring title shots? And if so, when? And also, hi, Steve. And also, hi, Tom. Thank you for checking this out. For me, personally, I would say yes. I don't see the you know, King of the Ring and Queen's Crown needs to mean something. If you're going to win those tournaments, you need to get something out of it, not just a crown and a gimmick change. I've always been a fan of seeing, you know, back in the 90s, you saw, I mean, okay, but he did get an opportunity for the title at SummerSlam, as many others did over the years. Austin went on to get to that sort of main event level from it as well. So there are superstars that really benefited from doing so. So for me, I would say yes. And of course, we've got Survivor Series now. So, I mean, you could make it as TV filler. There is that opportunity, but why not a pay-per-view position? Now, I know December now has kind of been ruled out at this point. So perhaps day one, can that kind of feel royal if it's done as day one? Maybe that's probably the perfect place for both of them to get their title opportunities. But one thing's for sure, it's very nice to see that Zelina Vega actually continued momentum on Raw this week, or should I say Queen Zelina, because I was very expecting that she would win that and then she'd just be, you know, falling by the wayside. So I hope WWE has got a plan for her, and hope as well for Xavier also. So yeah, it's good to see that they've got some momentum, and yes, I would give them title shots. Supersonic X says, what are your thoughts on Charlotte and Becky incident? Do you think Charlotte might be going to AEW? Well, I did sort of touch on this topic a lot more detailed on the Ask SCW, but I will just say here that Obviously, it looked messy on TV. It was not fun to watch. And I think it was actually very disrespectful to the championships that they're trying to have worked so hard to make relevant. So for me, it was not a good look with that. It wasn't a fun segment to watch. And sometimes with those sort of segments where things go a bit more shoot element, if you want, they become more interesting. This didn't. It didn't look good. And for me, apparently, I mean, again, I'm going with a lot of let's say rumor mill stuff. So I'll give my sources Wrestle Talk because that's where I've kind of kept up with most of the backstage shenanigans, if you want, with a lot of this. And Tom has been doing some fantastic videos on the subject as well. By the way, I do recommend checking out his streams for that. You know, it's for me, looking at it, Charlotte's had a really bad 2021. We look at the false pregnancy accusation stuff that kept her off WrestleMania, the shoot stuff with Nia Jax going on a couple of months ago. So it's been an awful year for Charlotte, and I wonder if there is frustration in amongst it. And if she didn't want to look weak with the championship swap, then I don't know really what's the best way to put it. But if you're paid by a company and they give you a script, regardless of how good or bad it is, you don't go in for business for yourself. It's not a good look. And yeah, if there is reprimand from it, I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if Charlotte drops that championship between now and Survivor Series. But at the same time, if she does make it to Survivor Series, I don't see anything than a Becky Lynch victory. That's what I will say. And do you think Charlotte might go to AEW? Never say never. Andrade Elido would definitely love that to happen. I'm not 100% sure at this point if it will ever happen. Apparently, she's got many years left on her contract, and I want to say maybe PW Torch may have been the source for that. Someone correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. Yeah, if Charlotte's got many years to go, then she would have to be she'd have to be released from that contract. She's not going to be able to just sit and wait it out. Joe says, how do you feel about Bound for Glory? And was you playing your guitar when Kiss Demon showed up? Yeah, to be honest, I thought that was a fun little spot. I love that Johnny Swinger as well wanted the autograph. I thought that was really cool. Yeah, Bound for Glory, I thought was a really, really good show overall. I thought there was some really good moments. The Inspiration was a feel-good moment just to see them. I mean, I really enjoyed their entrance as well. I thought the way they actually came in, I felt big time, felt was very creative as well, having that sort of singer sing them down to the ring as well. So seeing them back together as a duo, winning the championships on night one. Some would say, you know, there was no journey there to get them to do so, but you know, they've got so many teams to work with now, and you know, to have those championships, they're going to carry that. The Impact's Knockouts Tag Team Championships has kind of been a hot potato to this point. I do feel it's going to be less now that the Inspiration have it. When you look at Deanna Price versus Mickie James, I think that was arguably one of, if not the best match of the night, storytelling-wise. I thought it was phenomenal what they did together in the ring. Was surprised Mickie won, but you know what? I think it was a really good feel-good story, and I think if Deanna's going to drop that championship to anyone at this point, Mickie was the right person to do so. I have to give a shout out to the X Division as well. Those three absolutely tore it up with Steve Macklin, Trey Miguel, and El Fantasmo. I thought it was a phenomenal triple threat. If you haven't seen it, go and watch that. There's some insane spots in that match. And Trey Miguel, of course, winning the championship. I think it's another one of those cases, if he didn't do it now, you'd not believe in the guy anymore. So for me, I'm quite pleased to see that Impact's finally gone and given him that sort of reign and that opportunity. And let's talk about the main event spot. Of course, Moose winning the Call Your Shot gauntlet, screwing over W. Morrissey to do so, then pinning Matt Cardona, and then after Josh Alexander getting the victory, celebrating with the championship with his son and wife in the ring for Moose to call his shot there and then to spear with his child and wife still in the ring. Look, some people may have said that's overbooked. I thought it was awesome because you've got a reason to need to tune in next week. There's a cliffhanger on that, and you've got two championship changes instantly. And you've not a case of if this AEW Impact relationship is not going to happen anymore, then you've built yourself a main event going forward with Moose versus Josh Alexander. It's if you want to do it at a turning point, or if you want to save it to Hard to Kill and work your way up to that point. So Impact did some very clever booking for me, and I really, really enjoyed it. But yeah, of course, Kiss Demon and Swinger was absolutely hilarious. Duke Togo, thank you for checking out the stream. Duke Togo 13, I should say. Do you think Impact is going to be the promotion to really reap the benefits of ROH releasing everyone? WWE is more concerned with creating their own stars, and AEW's roster is packed. Well, this is the thing. AEW doesn't really need more talent, so I think they'll probably go for the ones that they can pick and choose. If I had to pick talents I think that AEW would go for, as we said at the start of the stream, Dan Housen, I think, is probably one that would definitely be, I reckon, on their radar, especially as there must be a million signs, by the way, in AEW shows that I see seen sign Dan Housen. He was just on the Jericho Cruise as well. That's just taken place. But I can see as well Rouge, Dragon Lee potentially to go with Andrade Alidolo because they love a stable, and that would definitely put them back together. But of course, I think Rouge was wanted as well by WWE at one point. Bandito could be another one I could see AEW going for as well. But yeah, I do think Impact Wrestling would benefit. And of course, like I said, they need to fill up their roster a bit more. If they're not going to keep doing this Forbidden Door stuff, they're relying on a lot of people like New Japan, NWA. So yeah, if they can get a few more talents in and they can sign a few here from Ring of Honor at this point, maybe a likes of like a Matt Taven or Jonathan Gresham, Jay Lethal, Shane Taylor, those sort of talents anywhere, I think could really benefit. And we mentioned EC3 earlier in this stream as well, would really do that promotion a really, really, really big favor. A lot of questions come flying in. Thank you very much, everyone, by the way, for your questions. I will be going for another 15 minutes only today. It's going to be a shorter stream this week just because, unfortunately, I have to very early start where I'm on UK time. So it's 11 p.m. where I am, and I've got a very early start tomorrow. But won't waste any time on that. Let's get back to your questions. We've got Supersonic saying with Brock Lesnar and Dakota Kai confirmed to remain on SmackDown and NXT. However, Asuka is set to remain on Raw's Women's Division. What is the reason for Asuka to stay on the Raw roster? I guess they probably feel if she's going to be on the Raw roster, they would feel that they have a story in mind for her more than on SmackDown. There's more time to play with on Raw. A number of superstars, they probably had ideas for what to do with, but maybe they say, oh, we'll take this talent and we'll find something to do with them. Asuka, as we know, we've discussed many, many times before, is a phenomenal talent, and she would get time to get in ring work on Monday night. So that's possibly the reason why, if she was to be on Raw, and perhaps she could rekindle the matches with Becky Lynch, for example. That would be quite cool to see. And there's new talent from SmackDown come over as well to actually give us some fresh matchups. So it would be fine if she was on Raw. But I do feel at the moment, if there is lacking a top babyface on SmackDown, that would probably be a good idea to put her there. But yeah, we'll see how it will play out. Chris Pauly, he says, what do you hope happens on AEW tonight? I was shocked that Zelina picked up the win. No more 50-50, destroy it and build new people. Zelina versus Becky can be something, or Zelina versus Bianca. Well, that could be something interesting. Like you say, if you give a title opportunity, that's one of the two matches that you would get. I would be quite keen to see if it was to go down. I don't think that, I don't know if it will happen. That's the problem. But I like the WWE so far has kept the Zelina push going. Usually it's around 3 weeks in WWE terms. So let's hope that it's a little bit longer extended here for Zelina. But with AEW tonight, let's try and think with the card. We've got the 8-man tag team match, haven't we, going on with the Elite against the Dark Order. I guess we'll get an Elite victory there. And we've got John Moxley against number 10 in the World Title Eliminator Tournament. I expect that we'll probably get John Moxley win there. I have predicted already, if you go on my Ask SCW, I've predicted the entire TBS bracket tournament. I've gone for Hikaru Shida to beat Serena Deeb in the rematch this evening. I guess she'll get a 50th win then at that point, and she'll progress further in the tournament. But AEW, it feels can't miss. I'm guessing we'll get a few more matches probably built in for Full Gear. We'll probably know a further direction after this with what the card is going to look like. Further on as well, saying here from Chris Bawley, also saying that just thought of something. What if Zelina was to attack Bianca backstage and she challenged Becky for the belt and Zelina cheats to win? We have Queen Zelina takes all, even the crown. I love the fantasy booking idea, and he goes on to say, do it WWE. It's a fun idea. Unfortunately, I don't see it happening. But one thing I expect her to be on Team Raw on the 5-on-5 Survivor Series match. Ryan Awesome, and he is awesome, ladies and gentlemen. Check him out on YouTube if you haven't already. The Becky and Charlotte incident could have been avoided if they just would have kept them on their respective brands as women's champions. And do you know what? Makes a lot of said swap. That's just my personal opinion on it. And yeah, I mean, the thing is for me, the way I would have booked it, I would have booked the champion versus champion match at Survivor Series, but of the opposite show and winner take all. And although people may not think this is a great way of doing it, I think you could have gone for a time limit draw. And I think in a sort of way where you kind of do the draw at that kills. So maybe it wouldn't work. I don't know. But that's kind of how I would have liked to have seen it gone down. Bob Williams is with us now. Says that Dragon Lee Bandino is friends with Rouge and Andrade. Holy cow, I want that stable on AEW. I know people are going to call me a stereotype, but still, hey, it would be a great one, wouldn't it? It'd been awesome. And I do believe that if I'm not mistaken, Rouge Andrade, they've been in a group before. Los Ingobernables, which I believe was in Mexico when they did that. previously. So, I mean, they've been working together before. Why not do it again, Bob? I like the idea. If it wants to go down, I wouldn't be surprised if AEW were interested in these talents now that it seems like they will. Eric Travis says, Brody King. Yeah, Brody King would be awesome. I'm sure that the stream, he seems to be someone that I think will be definitely attracting attention from all companies. I would say Impact particularly worked with them previously, and AEW potentially as well. I mean, I could see him fitting in everywhere. Maybe Homicide, but Homicide was in AEW. That sort of appearance, didn't he, on the special show in New York, which he was helping out. I believe it was John Moxley and Eddie Kingston. So yeah, maybe he would come back and do something again. But yeah, I guess time will tell on that one. Vince is going to sign Shane Taylor and Jane Lethal. I need personality and a big man, damn it. I should have done it in a Vince voice, shouldn't I? Would have been a lot more entertaining if I'd have done it that way, Eric. But yeah, I mean, I could see them being potential ones that would be of interest to Vince McMahon, potentially, particularly both great athletes. Shane Taylor can do things in ring for a big man that most people can't do at any size. So yeah, I mean, there definitely would be some talents that I think could tick Vince's box. The only thing is, I couldn't see either of them in NXT. Well, maybe Shane Taylor could work there, but I can see Jay Lee. Feel that he would probably go straight to a Raw or SmackDown, but hey, maybe I'm wrong. Someone like LA Knight is still in NXT at this point. Supersonic X, I do have a theory, and it's probably SmackDown because it does back up on what we discussed with Charlotte and Asuka on separate brands. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely could be a reasoning for it with why Asuka could be there. I mean, they've had so many matches together, wouldn't they? So it would be interesting to see if that would be the reason. I mean, on SmackDown they wouldn't have as. I don't think it'd be as often, but yeah, this could be a definite reason of why, because a lot of people, even though we enjoyed watching them in ring together, I do think a lot of people were tiring of continually seeing that match being played in, week out. Bobby Fish versus CM Punk. Of course, how could I forget that? Yeah, I mean, CM Punk obviously will be winning that match there, but good on Bobby Fish. He's been getting some big time matches so far, hasn't he, in AEW? It's good to see that he's getting some good use, and maybe be a possibility. I'm going to throw out a prediction for you now, though. I'm going to say Adam Cole will take on Christian Cage. I believe Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus will take on the Young Bucks. That's my prediction at this point. But if we was to get that match at Full Gear, I'm not complaining. I'd be right down for that one. Jeff Samuel as well says, do you think AEW should write Jungle Boy off TV and repackage him, do more of a serious character like, I don't know, but his gimmick feels 80s, change it up? Well, for me, I like it. I'm sorry, Jeff, I'm going to kind of disagree with this one. I on call, to be fair. You know, the music, everyone gets along with it. I do think he's one of those established stars. Yeah, I can understand the gimmick's not for everybody, but for me, I would keep him exactly how he is. But to go with the last prediction, Jeff does say true SCW. So yeah, thank you. If you've got any more questions, do get them in. As I say, I'm happy to do the stream for about another sort of, just under 10 minutes or so. I'd probably say that we could do. So I've got time for about 3 or 4 more questions. What we said at the start here, Ring of Honor releasing all of their talents after Final Battle. Really is a shame. Really hope that people do find work, and I'm sure with the many wrestling companies around that people will do. But of course, we look at with WWE, a lot of release talents there. Some of them still not being signed up, so I have to wait and see how it will play out. But I do wish everyone all the very, very best. And of course, for Ring of Honor themselves as a company, they've given a lot to the industry. Do hope that that they can actually survive this and continue going forward. And even it's a pay talent but per appearance basis, I think that'd be quite cool to see. And I'd even hope to see some of these talents give back, because Ring of Honor was so good to them during the pandemic that I'd like to see some of them try simply stick around. It would be nice for it to. Jeff Samuel goes on to say, Cole versus Christian makes sense. You elevated Cole, and Christian losing won't hurt him as he's already a legend. So yeah, get Cole the push. Yeah, for me, that's exactly the reason why they do the match as well. They both never faced off against each other. They'd have great chemistry, I imagine, in the ring. Christian's a fantastic worker, along with Adam Cole. And like you're saying, Adam Cole, that would give him a big victory on pay-per-view. It'd be his first in-ring match on pay-per-view as well. So yeah, that for me, this would tick a lot of the boxes. He says, have fun and keep an eye up on Twitter, sadly, but ask SCW, and you're going to see a lot of Ring of Honor news. You see sad Ring of Honor is closing. Yeah, it's a sad that they aren't stopping for the time being. But like I said, they're going to re-strategize, and hopefully they will come back stronger than ever. And hopefully we'll be looking back at this in a year or two and see that Ring of Honor will hopefully be just fine. But I will definitely keep an eye out on Saturday. I look forward to your question on Saturday for Ask SCW on the Twitter feed. And of course, if you're not following me on Twitter, you can see it here on the screen for you already with the @SCW_Steve. You can go and follow me there. But I think that's where we're going to leave it off then for the questions. It's a shorter stream for us here today, but I hope everyone has enjoyed it nonetheless. It's been a big week of wrestling. So many title changes. It's been good to talk about Bound for Glory, Halloween Havoc as well. I mean, of course, with the Inspiration, Moose, Mickey James, all new champions there in Impact Wrestling, and Trey Miguel as well. We've also got the likes of said there with NXT there, Toxic Attraction, Imperium winning the tag team titles. What will happen on Raw next week? So there's lots of things to look forward to in wrestling. We've got AEW Dynamite tonight as well, which we've given a small video. If there's anything you want to talk about further, then leave a comment in the comment section. It really does help the channel a lot. To every comment that does come in. Please like as well. If you can do, share with a friend as well. Let them know about SCW. And just before I leave, I will take one more asking what is going to be happening on SmackDown this. I do hope is that we get some build for Survivor Series. I want to see that card starting to take some real shape. And now, of course, we know champion versus champion matches are definitely going to happen. I'm hoping that we'll get some qualifying matches for the Survivor Series matches. And maybe set up the match with Sasha and Charlotte for the following week. Maybe that could be a good idea of what they can do. Perhaps even a challenger for Roman. Maybe that'd be quite nice for him to have to, defend his title beforehand, because I'm pretty sure Big E and Seth Rollins could be something, if they wanted to, could actually do before Survivor Series. And wouldn't that be a big twist if we had Seth Rollins versus Roman Reigns instead of Roman Reigns versus Big E? Although at this point, I do expect Big E to retain. SmackDown Women is not good at all. Do you know? Yeah, because we've got Shayna Baszler in amongst that, Sonya Deville, Naomi. We mentioned Sasha and Charlotte already. So, there is some great. Shotzi Blackheart, who's probably not had enough TV time at this point, along with Tony Storm. So hopefully, fingers crossed, a few of them will get a chance to shine and hopefully change your opinion over time. But last couple needs a Raquel Io, maybe both at some point. Maybe they get a Raquel Gonzalez or Io if or when both of them will get called up. Io and Zoe called up as well. We'll have to see. I think Zoe's got time to go at the moment on NXT. I can see being an NXT Women's Champion before she gets actually called up to any sort of main roster. Come on, Steve. You want BFAB on the team for Survivor Series? I personally think she should do the manager role just for the minute. I think she should continue with dark matches for now before SmackDown. I think just because she only had a couple of matches, I think that she's got the character nailed down. And to be fair, you could put her there because, I mean, she hasn't got to be involved so much in the match. It's a 10-person tag team match, but she will at this point. But I do like your idea of trying to give a bit of comedy, at least with the end there. But that's all from me anyway. Thank you for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe. I'll be back later in the week then for Ask SCW. Make sure to keep your questions coming in for that. And like I said, you can follow me on Twitter to put that in on Saturday. But have yourselves a great week. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time. This has been SCW Live, the Q&A. Take care. Have yourselves a good one. I'll see you soon.